Welcome to The Explainer. You know, there are some topics that get pet owners and vets, well, really fired up. And today, we're tackling a big one, raw meat diets for our pets. Is this the secret to a healthier animal, or is it a pretty risky gamble?
So yeah, let's just jump right in. This is really the heart of the matter, isn't it? You've got this huge group of owners who absolutely swear by raw food. And then, on the other side, you have the scientific community raising some pretty serious red flags.
And you know, this isn't just some niche thing anymore. We're talking about sales growing by at least 15% every single year. That's huge. It's turned into a major movement, and it's one we've really got to get our heads around. So what's behind this incredible growth? I mean, what's the big appeal? Well, when you get right down to it, it's all about a really powerful idea, this deeply felt philosophy about what's truly natural for our pets.
And this right here, perfectly sums up the whole debate. It's really a clash of two worlds, isn't it? On one hand, you have the philosophy of feeding this unprocessed, ancestral kind of diet. And on the other, you have these very real, documented scientific concerns about safety and, proper nutrition.
You know, when you really look at all these reasons people choose raw, they all seem to come from the same place, right? It's this deep, genuine desire to do the absolute best thing for their pets. A lot of it is also fueled by a growing distrust of the big, conventional pet food companies.
Okay, so now let's switch gears and look at the other side of the coin. We're going to see how the concerns coming from vets and public health experts really boil down to three main areas of risk.
All right, so the number one concern, and I mean by far the biggest and most documented one, is the risk of what they call microbial contamination. Basically, we're talking about harmful bacteria, stuff that can be lurking in raw meat.
And look, the data on this is, well, it's pretty sobering. This chart gives you a snapshot of the contamination found in commercial raw diets, what scientists call RMBDs. But broader studies, they found salmonella in anywhere from 6 to 20% of these diets, in E. coli up to 60%. So this isn't some rare one-off thing. It's actually a pretty common finding.
Okay, this is so important to get. The risk doesn't just stop at the food bowl. Nope, it can actually spread to the entire household. I mean, just think it through for a second. You're handling the raw food, you're cleaning the bowl, and your pet can actually become a carrier, shedding that bacteria all over the house, even in their saliva, when they lick you. This puts everyone in the family at risk, but it's especially dangerous for young kids, older folks, or really anyone with a weakened immune system.
All right, on to risk number 2. This is a huge one for veterinarians, nutritional balance. The thing is, it is incredibly difficult to create a raw diet that is truly complete and balanced, one that hits every single one of your pet's nutritional needs.
So if you take a look at this table, you'll see what I mean. Study after study of raw diets has found these critical imbalances. A really common one is the ratio of calcium to phosphorus. Get that wrong, and you're looking at abnormal bone development. And it's not just minerals. They've also found deficiencies in key vitamins, like vitamin D. And that can lead to really serious health issues down the road. And it doesn't stop with germs and nutrition. There are other concerns too. For example, whole bones, which are a big part of many of these diets, can actually fracture teeth or, even worse, cause dangerous internal punctures or blockages. There's also some research linking certain raw diets to hyperthyroidism. And of course, the big picture environmental footprint of an all-meat diet is pretty high. Okay, so we've got these really passionate arguments on both sides of the fence. But what does the science actually say? How strong is the evidence for all the claimed benefits versus the evidence for the risks? So before we can answer that, we need a super quick lesson in how scientists rank research. They don't treat all studies the same. There's this hierarchy, right? A level 1 study, like a big randomized clinical trial, that's the gold standard. It's the strongest evidence you can get. And way down at the bottom is level 5, which is basically just expert opinion. It's the weakest.
Okay, so when we apply that hierarchy to the raw food debate, a really clear pattern starts to emerge. The evidence for the risks, especially that pathogen risk we talked about, that's often backed up by stronger, higher-level studies. But the evidence for a lot of the claimed benefits, well, that tends to come from weaker, lower-level evidence, like individual case studies or just observational reports.
And this quote, this really gets to the heart of the problem for researchers. Think about it. When a study compares a raw diet to, say, a standard dry kibble, those two diets are often completely different in every way. So if they see a benefit, is it because the food is raw, or is it just because it's higher in protein or fat than the kibble? That's the line that gets totally blurred, and it makes it really, really hard to say for sure what's causing what. All right, so we've looked at all sides of this. Where does that leave us? What are the key takeaways for any pet owner out there who's even just thinking about going down this road?
You can almost break this whole debate down into 4 steps. It all starts with that powerful appeal of natural. That leads to all the claims of benefits you hear about. But then, those are countered by these very real, scientifically documented risks. And what you're left with is a situation where the scientific evidence for the risks is, right now, a whole lot stronger than the evidence for the rewards.
So, what's the bottom line? Look, this is a really complex decision. The pathogen risk isn't just a what-if scenario. It's a real, documented risk for your pet and your family. And getting the nutrition perfect is incredibly hard. That's why, honestly, the single most important thing you can do is talk to a professional. That means your trusted veterinarian or, even better, a board-certified veterinary nutritionist. They're the real specialists in animal diets. Talk to them before you make any changes.
And ultimately, that's the real question at the center of all this, isn't it? In that search for what feels natural, what are we as pet owners willing to risk? It's this delicate balance of philosophy, science, and risk, and it's something every single pet owner has to weigh for themselves. Thanks so much for joining us on The Explainer.